Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the Positively Awesome Wrestling Podcast. It is yours truly, the Drip King, Jimmy Bay. I am joined by, as always, Albert to the rights of me. I got that right. I had to use the fingers, I'm not going to lie. And we are one man short this week. Unfortunately, life gets in the way. Sometimes things just come up and you can't make the show, and that's perfectly fine. But he is with us in spirit, and of course, that is Tidy. But Albert, how the heck have you been? And how did you enjoy the Elimination Chamber this weekend?
Jimmy, I've been tired because I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning to watch the Elimination Chamber live like a sucker because the WWE, for some reason, I thought to myself, it was Friday night, and I looked at my girlfriend and I said, I think I'm going to wake up and watch it. And she shook her head. She goes, Babe, I don't care what you do. Just don't wake me up, please. And I said, all right, and I thought to myself, look, I'm going to walk 6 feet from my bed to the couch, and I'm going to lay on the couch, and I'm going to watch this. And if I fall asleep at any point, whatever. I'll just wake back up and repeat it. Well, I missed one thing. I fell asleep in between that whole 55 minutes of no wrestling action. I happened to just fall asleep right after the match was over and woke up just as the entrances were ending for the main event. So,
So right in time, just in time.
Yeah,
it's just a nice little nap we got. It
was perfect. And I went back, watched what I needed, and it was great.
What up, Courtney? Thank you for joining. So did you end up seeing this? Because I know you had told me you didn't watch the Grayson Waller Effect. Have you watched it yet?
I did now. Yes.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure because it was literally one of my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah, same here.
For just one little part of it, and I'm gonna bring it up later.
Okay.
But yeah, I woke up as well. I wasn't as thrilled because it's 4 a.m. for me, and I stayed up to watch SmackDown and Rampage, so I was very, very tired. And I didn't even get to watch it all right at the gate because we had to leave and go do something that morning, and I didn't get back until like noon that afternoon. So I saw the first 2 matches, and then I had to try and stay awake for the last half because I was dragging at that point, being out in the sun all morning, not having much sleep. I was like, but I did it. I'm not mad about it. I didn't know there was a 55-minute break between the two. I got to fast forward because of how I ended up watching. So I can't really join in on the complaining about that, but I don't even know if I would. That's just me, though.
Listen, we'll talk about that a little bit later too. But yeah,
for sure. And before we go any further, congratulations in order because Albert once again has successfully defended the Positively Awesome Wrestling WWE Predictions Championship against myself, Nick, and Tidy. He ended up with 9. Nick ended up with 7 points. Tidy ended up with 5 points, and your boy Jimmy just shit the bed. I had 3 points total. Like I went crazy with it, and I'll just say this: Triple H, you're booking a screw with me, and I don't know how to figure it out. But once I do, it's game over. I'll just say this though: I'm finishing my store at WrestleMania like everybody else. So WrestleMania, I'm coming for you, brother, and it's gonna be over. Oh yeah.
Guys, I just want to throw out there that we have a group chat between Jimmy and Tidy, and I sent them a picture from my house earlier today with my John Cena United States Championship. I said, hey, Jimmy, if you need a thumbnail for this week's episode, you can use this. The champ is here. I wanted to bring it with me, but I might actually be moving back in with my parents for a couple of weeks. So
let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
Oh.
I'll share it. He's the champ. He deserves it. That's what we got to do. But while I do this, overall thoughts on Elimination Chamber. What would you between 1 and 10? What are you grading it?
I thought it was about like an 8. I mean, for me, it was the perfect setup in between WrestleMania. I think it was the perfect. Look, first and foremost, I think it's ridiculous that we had more women's matches featured on the entire card than men's matches. I think that's something that I don't think that's ever happened in WWE history. Yeah. And I know everybody will be like, "Oh, well, it was only a couple of people on the card. It was a small card." Doesn't make a difference. They had a women's tag team championship match on the pre-show. They had 2 women's matches on the main card. One of them was the main event of the show, and then 2 men's matches on the main card. That is a ridiculous stat for me. I think that all the matches were great. I wasn't bored through anything. I fell asleep because I was tired. But then woke back up when when it was time to go, and I think that even I went back and I watched that the segment, and I said, you know what? I'm glad that I actually fell asleep, because I think I would have been like forcing myself at that point to stay awake and wouldn't have gotten everything. And I'm glad I went back to see it, because it was even better, when I was fully cognizant and awake.
All right, so I can't pull it up because I forgot the login for that account, and I don't feel like going through the motions to try and find it.
I absolutely don't blame you.
I'll put it on the Twitter profile for us for the Positively Awesome one after the show. We'll get that up there so y'all can see what the champ looks like with his little belt. So I'm taking the belt at WrestleMania if I have to pry it from his cold dead hands, because I will see him and I will take it from him one way or another. An 8, that's a fair score. That's higher than me, honestly, and I didn't think that was going to happen. I give it a 7.
Okay.
I know it's predictable, and I don't think predictable is a bad thing. I just feel like when everything's predictable, it kind of does take away from the show a little bit. But that doesn't mean it was a bad show by no means. It just wasn't a great show. It did its job. And at the end of the day, that's all these shows need to do from time to time. You don't have to stack them up. You don't have to put on this grand 10-match card and just now. Sometimes it just needs to be what it is. And from what I saw, the people that were there had the time of their lives. So who am I to complain about it?
I follow a lot of people. I actually follow a lot of people who went, and everybody, talking about the negatives that were coming out of it. The people who were negative about the show. Everybody who was actually there in attendance said they loved it. They felt like it was great. It was a good time for them to get up and like stretch their legs out and go to the bathroom and the concessions, and you didn't feel like you missed anything. But then once Cody's music hit, everybody was running back. It was an exciting look, that's what some of these events are, and that's the thing. Look, I've gone to AEW shows, and I would remember trying to go to like the merch stand, and I was like, damn, well, I can't, because this is happening right away, and I gotta run back to my seat. So I do like that there's a little bit of a break. And also, if you're watching it on TV, if you're one of these, I'm only in it for the wrestling crowd. Okay. All right. Boom. Turn it off.
Yeah.
I got an hour to myself. You could have taken a 55-minute power nap if you wanted to. I kind of did accidentally.
So when I watched it, I obviously watched the replay when I caught the last half of the show. I was able to just fast forward to the matches, and I didn't get the big gaps like everyone else did. Like I said, I couldn't speak on the 55-minute thing because, again, I watched it at a later time, so I could fast forward through it. So if at this point, we know this is what WWE does with their shows. So why you would tune in expecting anything differently that's a you problem. That's not a WWE problem. And there's a simple solution to it. Just catch the replay so you can fast forward and you can just watch the wrestling part of it, and then you got nothing to worry about. That's the beauty of what WWE does with their product, is that it's on a streaming service for you to do that.
Exactly. And my biggest gripe is that people were saying that there was too much filler. Now, not for nothing, but if you're going to say you're going to count the ring intros for people
as part of the show, that's part of the match.
Right, that's filler, but you're going to sit there and sing along with Judas, and you can't wait for Max Caster to rap every week. And you got mad when they cut off Suzuki's entrance song and stuff like that. So you're mad about that, but the entrances were long, and not for nothing. You're also going to count in this saying filler the most over babyface in your company. Your world heavyweight champion, babyface world heavyweight champion, and the hometown heel with his buddy. This is a huge deal. Just them coming out and doing whatever is a big deal. And people were like, oh, they're so stupid. They had all this time. They could have at least had a match. What? A match with no buildup? And God forbid Cody gets hurt. What if he has an 8-minute match with Austin Theory and he gets hurt? Then those same people would be like, how stupid are they to put Cody in a match cold when it wasn't even advertised, or they barely built up on the road to WrestleMania when they didn't need to. And Seth Rollins just got hurt. Rollins just got hurt.
There was no need for it.
Exactly.
And we found out afterwards that Seth Rollins was like, I do think it does suck they didn't have at least, I guess, one more match on this card. But
Sure.
that match that would have been great on that card got pulled because of an injury. And then it also was a blessing in disguise because it was supposed to be Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, apparently, at the show,
Right.
which would have been awesome. But Bronson Reed ended up having his kid the day. So it was like a blessing in disguise for him because he got to be there for the birth of his child. And Seth Rollins was injured, and there was no need to try and wheel him out there early for the. There was no need for it because, again, at the end of the day, the Elimination Chamber, I feel like sometimes gets rushed. You have 6 people in there, and you want them all to get their stuff in.
Right.
And I feel like the matches this year were longer than normal, which is cool because they were stacked as well. I would hate to see
35 and 38 minutes each.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good time for an elimination chamber.
I would hate to see certain individuals kind of just get ran through too quick because they had to rush through to get other things. And another thing I always see complained about is the video packages. So like, we don't need to see the video packages. Well, here's the thing. I've sat and watched people's watch-alongs from time to time, just kind of checking them out and everything. And I've literally heard people, because the people who do the watch-alongs are usually the ones that don't even like the show. They're just doing it because they know, hey, I've got to ride this WB train because that's what I'm going to do to get my views and my clicks and my all that other stuff. So, and they'll sit there like, why are these people wrestling each other? Good news. There are these things called video recaps, not vignettes, but like literal. They tell you the whole story of why each individual on a pay-per-view is wrestling each other. So when you ask, why are they doing these video recaps? It's for you. It's for the people who don't watch the weekly show and are completely out of the loop. That way, you know why Logan Paul and Kevin Owens are at each other's neck in that Elimination Chamber. They told you why. And they made it so that you don't have to watch the weekly show, which a lot of y'all don't want to do because you complain about how long it is anyway, or how much filler there is during the weekly shows. Well, WWE has literally made it to where the people who have that mindset don't have to worry about it. They can not watch weekly television. They can watch the replay of the pay-per-view literally as soon as it's over, and then they can fast forward through things so they don't have to watch all the extra shit. Then they can also watch the video recaps so that they are completely up to date with why things are. It's crazy that 1, people haven't figured that out, and 2, they complain about it. Yeah. I really don't get it. I just don't. Like, if you don't want to watch them, don't watch them.
Right. And you know, the other thing is this, you know, I think that a lot of people are missing the mark on what a lot of people who are having good faith criticisms about the other channel when it comes to video packages are talking about. We don't want them to be WWE.
No.
We're not sitting there and telling you have 15 video packages, you know, on AEW a week. What someone like O'Shea Jackson, who again, I feel like every week, you know, one of his tweets like comes up and blows up, and I feel like I'm discussing it on some, you know, platform here. But I got like more likes and retweets and stuff like that than I've ever gotten just commenting on you know, somebody else talking about this, because they're like, oh, they want you just guys, you know, just want to WWE-ify like AEW. And it's like, no. If I just know that right now AEW isn't holding my attention, and I'm not in there every week, and it would be nice that if I do jump in from time to time, that I know what's going on rather than this random guy's coming in to wrestle this random match. And it's like,
I'll say this. We're going to talk more about AEW a little bit later too. Just sure. So we're clear. We're going to be talking about that a little bit. Continue. So I just wanted to get that part in there.
So, you know, that's, you know, we're the part of these video packages, the things that it's good for. And I watched the Royal Rumble with very like 3 very much casual wrestling fans. It was my best friend. It was his, like, you know, this is the first time he had people over at his brand new house, him and his fiance. You know, one of my other best friends who I grew up with, they're all very casual fans. One of my friends has 2 kids, hard for him to keep up all the time. You know, like I said, my other friend, you know, he's engaged. He's you know, got a home. It's, you know, he doesn't watch every week. They love the video packages. They're like, oh, this is great. So, you know, this helps me understand why that, you know, this is going on. Oh, that's why these guys are fighting. Oh, that makes sense. So, you know, when we watch this weekly, we don't understand, you know, I think we just take this stuff for granted. But when we have people who are dropping in and out, these are great things to have.
Yeah.
So that people understand. And it's good for us because it's like, hey, you know what? I got 3 seconds to run the garbage out, you know, during commercial. I don't have to run back. They're just going to recap what happened last week.
Yeah. For the people who actually do watch the weekly show and don't need the recaps, I can do other things while that's happening. It's nice to be able to just take a break and take things in, like when we just seen like a banger match. I'll just use DIY versus Judgment Day from 2 weeks ago as a perfect example. I got to like breathe after that match. I'm like, man, that was amazing. I got to like just take a second to take it in while they did whatever else they were doing on the show and then get back into the show. And I do want to bring up one more thing about the video recap thing because I think it's hilarious. What is the most famous tweet we see happen every time we see two people start off a hot rivalry? What's the most what's the biggest tweet we get to see?
I think it's the My Way. It's
play My Way by Limp Bizkit. Why are they saying that? Because the video package for that match is almost more memorable than the match itself. I wonder why. Because it paints the fucking story for you people, and you're able to enjoy things so much more because of it. You brought up O'Shea Jackson. I want to say this one thing. He's been pushing for Tony to sign, I think it's Tyga style. He does the video promos himself.
Yes.
And I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. And it would be a great pickup, in my opinion.
I agree.
I'm not even joking. And like, why not take a gamble on something like that? And do you need to do a video package for every single thing? No, you don't. No. You do have to take the time to educate your audience sometimes. And I'm not just talking about the audience that watches wrestling 24/7. Good for them. That's their life. That's how they want to live it. They're in with the no, and that's cool. But there's other people who aren't in with the no. And it would be really cool for me, like you said, you haven't been tuning in. I still tune in every week, and I still would like to be educated on certain things when they're happening instead of having to, as other people say, Google it, which is the dumbest answer I've ever heard, because I should not be getting homework assignments from a show that I am taking my time out of during the week. My time is the most valuable thing in the world, and I'm taking my time to watch your show. I shouldn't have to take more of my time to know these things that are happening on your show that might not even have any implications on it 2 weeks from now. You bring in Vikingo the first time, and I've heard of him. I've seen clips of him. I don't know why he's wrestling Kenny Omega, though. Right. It would be nice to know that. And what happened? They put out a video package, and all of a sudden, even Tidy, who was a person who tried watching AEW and couldn't get into it, saw that video package and said, I want to watch this match now. Gee, what? That's crazy. That's like, again, you don't have to do this with every match, like you don't. But there has to be other ways you can educate the fans on these people showing up. Like when Mance Warner showed up to wrestle Jon Moxley for the AEW title because he won a battle royal on NWA. A person who wrestles for GCW won a battle royal in NWA and was on AEW television wrestling your world champion for his title. Give me something.
Yeah, come on.
and that's the thing. I'm going to stop myself there because I'm going to go. We're going a little bit too far. I don't want to go that. I actually wanted to praise AEW tonight, so I'm going to stop myself. We can go back to Elimination Chamber.
Yes, let's go back.
We'll do it a little bit differently this week. We're going to do two positives. One strictly from the Elimination Chamber. What was your favorite moment from the Elimination Chamber?
Rhea Ripley.
And why?
Rhea Ripley just showing emotion, you know?
That was cool.
Just simple as that. Just main eventing this huge show in her hometown. It's the first time she wrestled for WWE in Australia. And I think that Nia Jax was absolutely the right choice. People were mumbling and moaning and groaning. Oh, why not? Nia's been fantastic since she's come back. She has been on fire. You can say whatever you want about being fired Nia Jax, but maybe being fired was the best thing that happened for her because, it's unbelievable how much she's a different character and wrestler, and everything about her is completely different this run. She was the perfect foil.
I stopped myself, Miles. I stopped myself.
We don't have the positivity police in Tidy here this week, so me and Jimmy might get off the rails a little bit because we tend to be a lot more happy around Tidy because we don't want to drag Tidy down.
He keeps us grounded. He keeps us grounded. If I get a topic that kind of sets me off, I go off. But I've been better about it. I wasn't even being negative there. I was just speaking. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It comes off as negative, but we're just critiquing.
Yeah, that's what we call it. We're critiquing. Google it.
If you don't know what it means, that's what you should do. You should Google it. So anyway, just that whole everything about that. I mean, it's amazing to me that not only are we able to get a believable women's main event, but Rhea Ripley. But people were sitting there ripping on Rhea Ripley for being the #1, overall women on. Again, the Observer Awards don't matter. I just want to throw that out there. They don't matter. But I get so mad when people are like, the category is women's MVP or women's the most valuable women's wrestler, and they're like, Rhea Ripley didn't have as many matches as Athena. It doesn't say how many matches they had. It's about the most impact you made, and there is no way you can say that anybody in maybe in wrestling has made
I'm going to
more
say right now
than Rhea Ripley.
You probably couldn't name me 5 people in the industry that had a bigger impact than Rhea Ripley had on the business.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah, you couldn't. I'll revise that. You couldn't tell me 5 people that I'd agree with. You could probably come up with your own little list and think that you're and trick yourself into thinking it's real, but nah.
I think realistically,
nah, dummy.
There's 3 names on that list, and that's it.
I got 2.
Well, if they're the main event at WrestleMania,
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, the only other person I would slip in there is only because of The Rock recently, and that's it.
He don't count.
No, then if you don't want to count that, then there you go. Then it's Rhea right after that.
Yeah.
You have no look. For some of the wrong reasons, but Rhea Ripley went viral after that. Also.
She knows what she's doing.
Look, it is what it is. All I'm saying is that she went viral afterwards. Rhea's not just like a regular wrestler. Like, people outside of pro wrestling are starting to know who Rhea Ripley is.
Like, we had one of my girl's friends over, and she don't watch wrestling. She's watched a few episodes with us when she was over here, but she don't watch wrestling. She was talking about how she's on TikTok all the time, and she just always see Rhea Ripley on there. She goes, "Yeah, I see Rhea on there like all the time. Like that. She's got a big following. She's a big deal." We've been talking about her all year. She's literally someone they've strapped a rocket to her. They literally just put on an entire pay-per-view for her, essentially.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's not just in more positions is kind of shocking to me, because she doesn't look like any female wrestler we've seen before at this level, at least.
Yes.
Like, she's at the top of the top. There's nobody that's hotter in the industry in the women's division than Rhea Ripley. It's just, again, if you don't agree with it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but it's just a fact. It's like, she is the talk of the town no matter what. And like, she could be bigger, and she's young. we were heard for years, like, why don't they push the younger people? They are. You guys are being resistant to, and it's like, well, you don't want to burn her out before she gets to 30. You got like, I think they've handled her perfectly, and she just came off that major injury about her knee,
right?
And the concussion she had. You can't just throw out there and start having 100 matches a year. Like, no, that's not what you do with her. You utilize her perfectly, and that's
protect your investment.
Yes. She's there for the next 15 years if she's about it.
Right.
So,
and look, and not to make this sound as wrong, but women's wrestlers tend to have a much shorter shelf life than men's wrestlers do. It's just a fact. I'm not trying to be like sexist or anything. I know people are going to may get mad about that, but it's just true. If you look at most women's wrestlers, on their side, are a lot younger than men from full-time active competition. Yeah. So if you're going to be like somebody like WWE, you have a certain period of time with Rhea Ripley, and you're going to make every bit of it count. The same goes for, we want to stay on the topic of Elimination Chamber. The women's Elimination Chamber match, the winner of that match, Becky Lynch, has been getting a lot of resistance online as well.
We're about to get to that one for sure.
Let's jump. Yeah, I'm going to say we can jump into that, because
before we get there, I wanted to say props to Nia Jax. I'm officially putting her as the #2 rehire under the Triple H era. She surpassed Bronson Reed at this point, and I don't think anybody could disagree with that. Again, if you disagree with it, I don't know what to tell you. Nia Jax has been amazing. Like, she has been amazing since they brought her back. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it hasn't been start and stop with her.
Yeah.
You get her, and then she's not gone for 2-3 weeks coming back. She's there every week. She's pushed every week, and she's been legitimized as like a badass for the first time. Like before, it was just like her telling you she was that. No, she's showing you now. Like she is that girl, and she's played her role to perfection. And like I continue to be amazed by her on this run. So props to Nia Jax. Fantastic job. And I don't think there could have been any better person that Rhea had for the Elimination Chamber in Australia than Nia Jax. It was perfect. It was awesome.
Let's face it. A lot of people are going to say, you book her against a strong babyface. Why? Because that babyface is going to get booed out of the building.
Yeah. And Rhea's teetering.
Exactly.
We already know where this is going.
Rhea's getting cheered more than most of the people who are supposed to get cheered. So it was the right thing.
I did too. We all know this.
Let's dig into that one.
So yeah, well, my favorite part of Elimination Chamber, real quick. I know that this is gonna sound silly. I enjoyed the show as a whole. I don't think any of the matches really stood out to me. They were fun, they were good, they weren't bad matches. I just don't think any of them kind of stood out to me as ones I'm gonna remember forever. They were just good matches.
Yeah.
But during this segment, the Grayson Waller effect, and they had Austin Theory doing the Rock's shtick, and he said when he did the "if you smell," and then Seth Rollins grabs him by the back of the head, and instead of cutting it off, he continues to go smell as he's being thrown into the time. I lost.
I died.
I was laughing, and I'm like, this is the Austin Theory we need back.
Yes.
And if you remember, 2 months ago, I said I think the match for Austin Theory at WrestleMania was Grayson Waller, because Grayson Waller is a guy who can help Austin Theory transition to babyface, and as I know people hate the comedy wrestler thing, but I don't care, because if you get R-Truth's a comedy wrestler, and he's one of the hottest things in WWE right now. So kiss my butt. I don't care. Austin Theory has great comedic timing, and if you can capitalize on that to turn him into a babyface, which he should be, because he's doing the Make-A-Wish things that John Cena was doing, he has the look of a person that people want to cheer. They just haven't been given a reason yet. Grayson Waller can help you with that. And if Austin Theory starts doing the comedy stuff to go in with the character, it's gonna work. And we're gonna get Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller, like I said a few months ago. So
and you know what? All you have to do is do exactly what they're doing, is sprinkle it in, and then have Waller just simply be the one who kind of has to like reel him in every once in a while. Like, okay, Austin, okay. And it's like now you get the perception that Austin's been holding back this out of his personality to try to act cool, to project that, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the fastest rising star. He had to back up that moniker, but he's really just a goofball.
Yeah, he's a goofball, and it worked. His stuff with the way was amazing in NXT. I loved it. And again, Grayson Waller just kind of sitting there letting it happen is the first seed being planted for that thing. And I give it 3 months time, and Austin Theory is going to be one of the hottest baby faces in WWE. I've not given up hope on my boy. I've been a big fan of him since day one. Since I saw him, I think it was in not Progress. It was Was it?
I believe so.
Was Progress the one that used to be on WWE?
That it may. I'm not 100% sure, but that's exactly the same time I saw him. They did the pay-per-view.
It was against Josh Briggs, I believe. Or Murdoch. It was against Murdoch. Boom. It was against Murdoch. I think. I don't know.
I think it was JD Drake.
Boom. That's it. Okay. Boom. Okay.
Yep.
That's the one I saw. And
that's where Shotzi wrestled Brandy Lauren and like torpedoed herself head first into like 17 chairs.
I saw it, and I was like, this kid has something. And then I saw him in NXT. I said, oh, awesome. Okay. And then I saw Vince trying to hot shot him onto the main roster. I said, okay, they clearly see something with him.
Exactly.
And it's taken some time to get there, unfortunately, for Austin, but I think he's almost there, and that's great. And boom. Yeah.
Also,
boom. I'm glad you noticed it, because she deserves it. She's done amazing work.
Also, the whole thing with the reporter, too.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Do your thing. And I saw some people saying it was a plant, and I'll tell you what, if it was, smart.
Right.
Smart.
Absolutely. That's a good job, because we saw that, Waller's done this. Right. Waller did this in the past, and now if they're trying to recreate it, I think it's a good idea. I think
because everyone was praising Grayson for it. So
right.
if the idea is that no, we want Grayson to be the heel going into this, and we want to work the internet fans, this is a great way to do it. Work us. Yes. I love the ingenuity in it. I honestly do. Do it.
Yeah.
Go to any depth you have to.
And here's the other thing. Wrestling fans now are so smart that they don't like when they get outsmarted.
Yeah.
And I like it. Right.
Stupid.
I knew it was a work the whole time.
Who cares?
Right, exactly.
What's that? I can't even see what it is. It says hummingbirds. Hummingbirds. So yeah, I'll just leave it that. I thought it was a 7. I thought the show was good. I thought it did its job. We got our main events for WrestleMania now. Drew versus Seth. It's going to be great. We know this. We got Becky versus Rhea, the biggest women's match you could probably put on right now. I get it. It'll be good. Becky does her thing, and Rhea's Rhea.
And Liv Morgan was the runner-up in that match. I think it was perfect. They keep her alive enough so that after they tell the story with Becky, she can go back and still have that story alive with Rhea.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions real quick so that you can understand why I wanted Liv Morgan in this position so much. And it wasn't because of my theory. As much as I would have loved to see my theory play out, this is honestly what it's about. If Liv Morgan were to win the Elimination Chamber and face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, what are the chances Becky Lynch doesn't end up on the WrestleMania card?
I mean, I would think that they would probably figure out a way to manufacture
0%.
Yeah.
Becky's still on that card.
Yeah.
Becky won the Elimination Chamber. There's no ifs here. So I'll ask you this. What are the chances that Liv Morgan doesn't end up on that WrestleMania card?
75%.
And that's my problem. Because Liv Morgan has a story that is just ready to continue. And you have the opportunity to put more women's matches on the WrestleMania card this way. You could have easily done Becky and Nia at WrestleMania because they're not finished. And they don't need a title. And then you have more women's matches that way. That's not to say they won't do more women's matches. I don't know what their plans are, but just from the outside looking in, that was my whole thing. Is like, you could have Liv and Rhea, and that's a good story that will give you a match that is a WrestleMania level thing. And then you could have Becky do her thing, which she does with literally anybody, and give us another WrestleMania level thing with Bayley and Io giving you a WrestleMania level thing, and the tag titles giving you there's so many. And let's not forget Bianca, who looks like she'll probably take on Tiffany, another WrestleMania level. So you have options that way. Whereas I think with Becky in that position now, it's one less women's match that I think you're going to see on the card.
Maybe
that was where I was coming from.
I think that WWE knows that they have to continue to keep Rhea hot. And I think to keep Rhea hot, Liv Morgan is the next step for her if she beats Becky. If Becky wins, I'm puzzled as to why they wouldn't just do this at WrestleMania.
As a Becky fan, not even a fan, I'm close to being a stan. I love Becky. I'll tell you straight up, she is the GOAT of women's wrestling. And if you try to tell me anything differently, I'll just close my ears and walk away because I don't think you have anything of value to bring to the conversation.
Right.
She's the GOAT of women's wrestling.
Right. If you don't believe that she's top 5, you don't know what you're talking about.
I'm of the mindset she's top 2 and she ain't 2. And honestly, it's not close when you look at the whole. That's just me. And if you're not even willing to accept that she could be, again, I'm leaving you. I didn't want her in this position. I'm not mad she's in the position because, again, I love Becky Lynch. I'm going to see her wrestle Rhea Ripley. Right. That's awesome. That's cool. It's a match I've wanted to see.
The biggest match that we haven't seen.
Yeah, for the women's division. For sure.
I know they had people they wrestled in NXT. No, this match.
That thing was 2 minutes long.
and Rhea at this level versus Becky Lynch at this level, this match has never happened before.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm not crapping on it at all. I just thought it's the same thing with The Rock and Cody. I'm not mad about seeing Roman and Rock. I just thought the story I'm always going to take the match that has a better story as opposed to the bigger match. Becky and Rhea is clearly the bigger match. I just think Liv and Rhea had the better story for the match, and that's all it is. I'll watch either one of them. What I don't like is this hate that people are just starting to pile on Becky. because it wasn't Liv. Because again, I'm one of the people who was like, it has to be Liv. And it wasn't Liv. Okay. Becky versus Rhea is still pretty cool. Wishing death on her child is insane. Like, insane. There's no need for shit like that. Y'all aren't fans. Y'all just aren't. Y'all weird. Y'all wild. And y'all should have your phones taken from you.
Where is this reaction to Drew McIntyre then? Like, if you're so mad about Becky Lynch getting a shot after she hasn't had a women's championship match in like 2 years. What are you talking
when
about?
She did, it was to put over Bianca.
Right, exactly. What are we talking about here? Like, she hasn't even been in the main event spotlight. People are like, she took the NXT championship from Tiffany and ended her really good run. Yes, Tiffany had to have somebody come from the main roster to take the title away from her because she beat everybody in NXT. Like, if you're saying that's what you thought happened, you're not paying attention to the story that was being told.
And to double down on the whole Tiffany Stratton thing, yes, Tiffany Stratton was on her way to being a star before Becky Lynch came along. Who got the eyes on Tiffany Stratton? She was getting cheered more than any woman at the show other than Rhea Ripley. Why do you think that was? Who do you think played a huge part in that? Becky Lynch, because she is the one that got her in a feud that get more eyes on her.
Exactly.
And I put on women's match of the year last year with Becky Lynch and Tiffany at No Mercy. That was Becky Lynch. Oh, what was another women's match of the year last year? Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in the steel cage, where she gave Trish Stratus her best match of her career. And this isn't Trish at the peak of her career. This is Trish Stratus retired for almost 15 years at this point. And she was able to give Trish her best match because that's what Becky Lynch does.
By the way, out of that feud, she got over Zoe Stark. She put over Zoe Stark twice, who then had a title match against Rhea Ripley, 4 months later? And you're saying that Becky's not doing anything to help the women's division?
I saw someone talk about
Lyra in NXT.
I saw someone talking about the Zoe thing, saying Zoe gets crickets when she comes out. That has nothing at all to do with Becky, because Becky helped get her in a position, and then booking is what caused Zoe to go.
Right.
They didn't capitalize on anything. She had a bit of momentum, and then they just kind of pushed her to the side in favor of, because I think that's when Nia Jax returned.
Yeah, so she lost to Rhea, and then
and these things just happen in wrestling all the time. And then Lyra again. Lyra was someone I was never sold on to begin with. After her match with Becky, I'm sold. I'm curious to see what Lyra does in the future for sure.
Exactly.
The hate for Becky is wild.
It's ridiculous.
It truly is. I did not want to see her in the title match. So if you didn't want to see her there, I get it. But to hate it and start doing what stop it, everybody. We need to pump the brakes. That's insanity, because if there's a woman that deserved, I don't want to say deserved it. If there's a woman who earned it, it's Becky, for the work she's done with the women's division over the past 2 years. It's crazy. It's crazy to me, man. That's crazy.
And then let's flip the script over to Drew McIntyre, who is now going to face Seth Rollins for the WWE Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. And not for nothing, people, this is the third match we're going to get, McIntyre versus Rollins. People aren't complaining about it. And I think it's because WWE has done a great job in telling the story with Drew McIntyre that he had to go back and earn every single one of these championship matches.
I think I would give more credit to Drew, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
For winning over the fans to the point where they don't want to give him shit for it. And I'm not even blaming WWE for giving us a rematch, because injuries happen and things happen. And you kind of had to just work with what you got. So I'm not mad at it. And if anybody has earned a title win at WrestleMania, it's Drew McIntyre, for the work he's done, not just recently, but over the last 3 or 4 years. He's earned it. So I'm glad that people haven't done that to Drew, because that is just, it would, at that point, it would be like, okay, y'all just doing this with everybody. Anybody that gets put in a spot to succeed at wrestling, y'all just gonna be mad at. And it's like, it's weird. It's so weird.
But it's weird to me that we're not getting that because you would think that if Becky got that much hate, but I just want to.
But I think it has to do with how good Drew's been.
I agree
Drew's
too.
been, if you were to ask me right now who the wrestler of the year is in this short 2-month period, it's Drew McIntyre.
Oh, absolutely.
Hands down, it's Drew McIntyre. And I don't want to hear in-ring shit. He's great in the ring, so you can't even complain about that.
Right.
But everything he does matters. Everything he does has our attention. Everything he does is awesome. Like, literally awesome. There's no point where I'm like, all right, Drew, finish that. No, it's everything is awesome. Y'all know the song. Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of the Drew, or something like that.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But I think that it's funny that the two biggest gripes that came out of the Elimination Chamber were, one, we talked about the whole, there was, that much not wrestling. And then the other thing was, it's so predictable. Yet we have a meltdown over Becky Lynch winning, which if you saw it coming, why are you getting mad? If you knew that it was coming, then you're like, oh, crap, this sucks.
You shouldn't have watched it.
Right.
If you knew what was coming and you didn't like what was coming, why did you go watch and waste your 5 hours of your life? I guess that's how long it was. Again, I don't know. I don't know how long it was. I just know what I watched. But
forever, yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I just find it funny to sit there and everybody's like, it was so predictable. Okay, so maybe to you it was predictable. Hey, if you want to get technical, it was predictable to me. I predicted almost everything that was going to happen, almost to a T. But I love the entire show.
Yeah.
So
I've always been told predictable doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
It just prevents it from being great, which is exactly what I said. It was a really good show. The fans that went home happy because they're more important than the viewers are. And I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. That is a true fact. You want to send the people who are spending money on tickets and merchandise at your shows. Those are the ones you're trying to send home happy. And if they go home happy, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
They're going to buy a ticket next time you're in town.
Exactly. That's the whole goal here. You're thinking of the business side. Well, yeah. In instances like this, I am thinking of the business side because, again, it was a good show and the fans went home happy. And I know this because I saw the fans having a great time.
Yeah.
So
you allowed the entire night?
There were times I didn't think they were loud, but then I have to check myself. Like, I remember I went to a Jacksonville show last year and I actually went with my buddy Miles in the chat here. And I saw everyone saying that the crowd was dead. And I'm like, yo, I was there. That crowd was not dead. That crowd was hype. But because of whatever, I don't know, it just wasn't loud on TV.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened at the Royal Rumble. Like, I went back and watched the Rumble. And I'm like, man, these are not indicative of what I was hearing while I was there. Because Jade Cargill's pop was almost deafening. Like, it was that loud. But on TV, it just came across as just kind of like a good one. No, it was phenomenal. So, again, some people heard it. And the people, see right here, that crowd was rowdy. It was awesome. And I've seen a few people who went to the first show and they all said, had the time of my life. All right.
Yeah.
They had the time of their life. I think it was a good show. You thought it was a good show. That's all I need to know, that it was a good show.
Exactly.
If you didn't like it, it's just not your cup of tea. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just this idea that it sucks is, y'all need to learn subjective versus objective, please.
Right.
Please
it didn't suck because it didn't do exactly what you wanted to do. If everything that it did do in between from bell to bell was good, then it was a good show, right? If you didn't like other things, there's this thing called a remote control, and you can turn it off for as long as you want. And if you want to go back, now we live in a world where you can actually rewind it and go, oh, man, I missed 4 minutes. Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, fast forward if you didn't know. Let me take that. Don't take that information from me. I want you to go Google how a remote control works, everybody.
You're right. I'm sorry. We shouldn't have told everybody. Giving away our
all right, real quick. We'll jump into other wrestling from the week. What other part of the week did you enjoy from wrestling as far as your favorite moment?
Man, it's so hard to think around like what happened.
I know it's hard to think after that, but we're gonna touch some other things. If you want time to think, I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Okay, so AEW was almost a perfect AEW Dynamite. Let me rephrase that. Was almost a perfect episode. It was really, really, really fun. Other than Ric Flair Young Bucks segment, scrap that crap. I don't want to see it, and it's not just a preference of Young Bucks. I don't like Ric Flair either, and I just think the whole gimmick is dumb. I don't like it. I don't like anything about the Young Bucks at this moment. I tend not to like anything about the Young Bucks most of the time, but
same.
I just thought that segment was pointless and didn't need to happen. You had literally a commercial break that was led into they led into a surprise, like someone showing up on a commercial, and then when we got back, it was Ric Flair, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We've lost momentum on people like Wardlow how many times, and these are the kinds of things that would work. And you do it for Ric Flair? Come on, man. I don't care about that crap. But I'm not going to get into any of the negative on. I'm just going to point to the fact that the rest of the show was awesome. I think if AEW was to continue this reminded me of an AEW show from like a year and a half, 2 years ago, when they were still hot. Recently, I think the Phoenix show was the kickoff where they've started to get a little bit of momentum. And this past week, again, awesome. Like 2 weeks ago, the Matt Taven, Orange Cassidy, Texas Death Match. It was one of the most fun matches I've watched all year. It's my match of the year so far. Like, that's how fun it was. And then this past week, the
Sting promo just floored me. Amazing.
Yeah. So
absolutely amazing.
I'm not remembering a whole lot.
Credit to AEW right now. They have handled. I am not a fan of the Young Bucks being Sting's last opponent. I'm not a fan. Whether that was Sting's call, whatever it was, that doesn't make it mean that I have to be a fan of it. It just it doesn't do it for me. Outside of that, everything that they have done for Sting's last match, for his retirement, for this last run, has been absolutely perfect. I couldn't have booked it better. I think it's been phenomenal. I think that they've treated him like a legend. I think he treated him like he deserved. Are there things I would have done that I think could have made it better? Sure. But given what we got, I have no complaints. I think they respected the legend of Sting. And I think that if this is the terms he wants to go out on, I'm happy.
Real quick on that, I do think the one thing they've screwed up with Sting's retirement is they haven't made it a retirement tour. They should be literally promoting every single episode. This is the last time Sting will be in the state of Texas. This will be the last time Sting is on the West Coast. This is the last time you'll see Sting. That's the kind of promotion I would like to see on a retirement tour, so that you're getting people to come in droves. Because they've sold a lot of tickets to Revolution because they've promoted it as Sting's last match. And they've sold, I think, like 17,000 tickets, I believe.
So, yeah,
which is
like that.
Exceptional for them right now. Because a few weeks ago, I think there was one that had less than 2,000 at a Dynamite.
Yeah.
And that was kind of worrisome. But you have this Revolution where you've sold a lot of tickets because of Sting's. You should be promoting every show that way.
Right.
And that's the one thing I think they've kind of missed the thing on. Other than that, I'm not going to complain. I've loved Sting for the 99% of his run at AEW.
Yeah.
The thing I want to point about Dynamite, the main event was fun as hell, which is what they need to be doing again to get back to that. Have your matches be fun. I cringed at the thought of RVD, Hook, and Hangman going up against Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Cage. It was just like, this is all sorts of just a cluster. It was, but the match worked because it was fun. And as long as I'm having fun, I don't really care about the little things. Wardlow
is RVD still not the most amazing person in the world?
Ah, it's insane.
It's like insane. He's like a millisecond slower, but it doesn't make a difference because he was like a step too fast.
He was now like 5 seconds faster
right on time.
Back in the day. So it's like he's just right on. He's right on pace with everybody at this point.
It's unbelievable. He's not human. He is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Every time Van Dam has been on Dynamite, I have tuned in because I love watching him wrestle. This was no different. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, fun match. 2, Wardlow, his promo,
unbelievable.
God, why have we not been
his best promo?
Why have we not been doing this? That was literally. I'll say this. That's been the best promo I've seen all year. And that's crazy because earlier in the night, I'm just going to skip over it. Wardlow did phenomenal. I'm really excited to see if they can keep this momentum going forward. I don't like the match they gave at Revolution, but I'll tune in to see what happens with it. I'm not going to give up on him because I do think he has it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that promo proved it. That was phenomenal. But then earlier in the night, Daniel Garcia cut the promo of his life.
Yeah, definitely his best promo as well.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
And Christian
is the great. Oh my God, is he not?
No, when he was leading up to it, I know it's coming every single time.
I know.
But when the camera angle did everything for this because it wasn't straight on him, it was up at him, and he said, "And I heard your father's," and then he kind of tilted down to look towards the camera, dead as he's talking down to us. It's like, I was dying. And then Garcia said, what's the line? He says, oh, if you think you want to talk about my dead dad, why don't you come down to this ring and I'll put you in the ground next to him. I'm like, mother, yes. That's Danny Garcia sold me in one segment. I'm officially on the Danny Garcia bandwagon at this point because he's been a phenomenal wrestler. There's no question in that. I just haven't cared about him. That promo made me care about him. Thank you, Christian, for getting us there, and thank you for you were given an opportunity, Danny Garcia, and he knocked out the park. That was phenomenal. I loved it so much.
There's going to be a debate at one point of who the best TNT champion is or ever was or whatever it's going to be. And it's Christian without even a doubt because he is getting every single person he is working with so much more over than they were before they were working with him.
I'll say this. I think the TNT championship has had the best champions.
Yes, absolutely.
Because Miro was a great TNT champion.
Yes, he was.
Darby Allin was a phenomenal
TNT
champion. Cody's first run was really good.
Cody as well, yep.
And now Christian's run is awesome. So and
Sammy,
I didn't really care for Sammy's. That's when it kind of started losing interest because they were hot shotting it.
Some of the matches that he had were good though. I'll give him.
It's Sammy. If he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Right. But they were hot shotting the title back and forth at that point. It's hot potato, hot potato, hot potato.
Yeah, I was never a big fan. I'm never a big fan of that ever.
So that wasn't really. I don't blame Sammy for that. That was booking, but those three champions right there, Christian, Miro, and Darby Allin. I don't think there's a title AEW has that has had three champions that had runs like those guys. Like they were phenomenal runs. And Christian ain't even done yet. Because it's about to get a hell of a lot more interesting. And when we do, I'm hoping to do an AEW prediction show this week. And when we do, I'm about to blow your mind with something if we get there. So
I'm ready.
I'll leave it at that. AEW Dynamite was fantastic. I think it was the best weekly television show this week. That's how great it was. And I hope they can keep this momentum. Stop losing it. Stop losing it. You have it in your hand. Don't fumble it. Don't drop it. Hold that thing tight. Get you a little baby Bjorn if you have to and secure it on, Tony, so you can keep this momentum and keep giving us shows like this one because it was fun. And again, fun is what we're here for. Now you've had time to think.
So, honestly, I think it was probably the two things that we actually talked about were probably the best things that happened all week. Sting's promo and the 6-man tag match. I gotta say, that the AEW is doing something that they haven't been doing well, and they're telling good stories. And it's everything that was almost in that show was actually based around a story. And it was clear and it was concise and it was all mentioned and it all, tangled together and it made better sense. I don't know if this is indicative of them starting to just point in the right direction because things are rolling. And it seems like when they get momentum, they tend to do that a little bit more. Or maybe Tony Khan is actually doing the right thing and listening to some criticisms and saying, okay, they want us to tell better stories. Let's figure out a better way to interconnect everything that we're doing because everything that was on there made sense. You had the three guys that were in the world title match in a match together. Thank you.
Brian Cage and Hook, they have a thing going on right now. RVD always tags with Hook when he does tag teams, so that made sense. So if you really put thought into it, everything made sense. So if someone said they didn't get it, I assume they just don't keep up with the product that much, and it's fine. Right. They didn't really help you figure it out. But as a person who watches every week, I got it. So I wasn't it seemed random, but once the match starts and I'm having fun, I don't care about that little bit of randomness anymore. It was enough to make sense for me.
Here's the thing, and I know that this is going to almost contradict something that I've been yelling about online for the past week, but random isn't bad. Random's not a bad thing. I'm okay with random, but you need a controlled random. So the best way that I can put it is what WCW used to do with the cruiserweights, because it was a controlled random. Sometimes you get just this random 6-man tag team match where it was like, okay, well, we're going to get a cruiserweight match on Nitro. You just knew, we're going to get a cruiserweight match. Maybe it's going to be Rey Mysterio. Maybe it's going to be Dean Malenko. Maybe it's going to be the Villanos and Super Colo. Yeah. You never knew. You just knew you're going to get a cruiserweight match on Nitro. I wish that AEW would have taken the All-Atlantic International Championship, and instead of doing what they did with it and making it another mid-card title, they would have almost made it like the Never Openweight Championship, but make it almost more like an X Division title where you would have these random matches, and it can make sense because they would be battling for the position for that one title.
I think that's what the TNT title is kind of supposed to do. That's why they've always done open challenges with it. We just haven't seen that because Christian says, I'm not doing that, which adds to his character. So I'm, again, that's why he's been a great champion and why the TNT title picture has probably been one of the most consistent things over the past few months for their product.
It has been.
So,
but that's what I'm saying. I wish that they would have just switched that energy over a little bit more to, to the international title. And I have a little bit, but I wish that they would just put a little bit more focus, because then you can make sense of random. Yeah. The problem that I have is that they do things like bring back rankings, and then they put a guy, who's not in the top 5 against a guy for the title at a pay-per-view. And it's like, you run the rankings. You can manipulate that however you want it. Just put that guy at number 1.
See, that's why I don't like the rankings, because you can manipulate them, and then what you're doing is insulting my intelligence. And from what I've been told by the AEW faithful is that AEW is a smarter show. Well, you can't tell me that when you're putting Lance Archer in a title match with Hangman Page and he has a 0-0-0 record. So then what you do is you put him on Rampage, Dark, and Elevation to get him at 3-0 and say, well, now he's at the top of the rankings. No, you just manipulated shit, and I don't like it. That's why I think the rankings are just a dumb idea. Again, that's not saying I'm right. This is my thing. I think it's a dumb idea. I don't like it. And it also doesn't really make sense either, because Swerve and Hangman were both 4-0-1. Copeland is 4-0. He has a better record than they do, so he should be the person that's at the top, not the other two. So again, if they're going to do the rankings, they need to really figure it out so where it makes sense, and then it doesn't come across as you are manipulating it. Sometimes you need to be thinking further ahead, because if Lance Archer was going to be the guy who faces Hangman Page first, you should have been giving him victories prior to him stepping up to him. And that literally is just planning a month in advance.
But Jimmy, did you hear what you just said? What you should be doing is making sure that the guy who's going to challenge for your championship is looking good on your television product by beating other people. Mm-hmm. Whether there's rankings or not, why isn't that what we're doing regardless? This is the thing. When people sit there and say AEW doesn't tell stories and sometimes things just feel like they're thrown together, this is what people are talking about. Yeah. It's when things like this happen, because randomly it's just like, this guy's getting a title shot. Why?
And again, I'm a Lance Archer fan, and when this happened, I was like, why? And I'm not even joking. I have a Lance Archer chase figure right up here on my wall that I was stoked when I was like, holy shit, the Murder Hawk monster. This is all. I love Lance Archer, and when it happened last year, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, why? Again, same thing. I didn't understand why Becky, like, I criticize, but I know people don't think this. I do criticize both. The one show just gives me less reason to criticize, but that's for another day. Touch on this, Miss Rampage. There was a great match between Mariah May and Anna Jay. Anna Jay when we talk about most improved, Anna Jay doesn't get her flowers enough. So there they are.
Hey, good on her.
Her and Mariah May it was probably the best match on the show. You're talking about a Rampage faithful here. Like, who? What kind of WWE fan ahead watches every single episode of Rampage? That's crazy to me.
And how about this? We just went off a little bit on AEW. We praised them for a little bit. I guess this is that compliment sandwich kind of a thing. The greatest thing in the world that I've seen is what they're doing with Deonna Purrazzo and Toni Storm. The split screen color, black and white thing and stuff like that. I absolutely love it. Like, it's crazy. The production's awesome. They leaned all the way into something, and everybody's responding positively.
I'll say this. I'm not a fan of it. But what they've done is create something so polarizing that you either love it or you hate it. And that's the sign of something working. So the production is something I say they need to put work in. And I was very happy when they hired Mansouri last year. And I thought it was going to make a big difference. He's been a little sloppy so far, but this feud, they've shown some elements to that production. Toni Storm's character, they've shown some elements to the things they can do with their production. So, again, I'm not a fan of the split screen, but I still am a fan of the Toni Storm character. I think that she's hit or miss. But when it's a miss, I'm mad because I'm like, you shouldn't be missing. This character's so good. But it's working because I'm emotionally invested. So they're doing a great job with it, and they deserve that. Like, they deserve the flowers. So again, here they are. There's your flowers. You deserve them, AW. You're doing good. So
Yeah.
here I am talking nicely about you again because you've given me a reason to, and that's all I've asked you to do.
That's it. That's all we've ever asked. And this is,
shame. Shame.
But this is something that we've done, I think, since the inception of this show. We have talked positively about AEW. I mean, we went when Collision first started. We were on the positive AEW
best show of the week.
Yeah, it was every single week we were talking about the positives of it. When you give us something that's good and positive to sink our teeth into, that's what they're doing right now. They got me interested again, and look, they got me interested. And MJF is not even on the TV screen. And that is something I never thought AEW was going to do. They weren't going to get other people to have me interested. But, man, Swerve is the real deal right now.
Swerve is hot right now.
I love him and Hangman both. So, and Samoa Joe's one of my favorites of all time. Yeah. It's just everything about this whole deal is like, all right, you got me sold.
So, just to clarify, since you brought up the whole, when we were talking about Collision, at one point, I'm very limited on what I watch during the week compared to a lot of other wrestling fans. I try to limit myself to 2-3 shows a week. If for whatever reason we have the time and there's nothing going on, I'll watch other stuff. But my list of importance was literally this. Collision was number 1 on this list of I'm not missing it. Raw was number 2, and it's always in 1 or 2 because that's just my show. I like what they do with it. I don't know what to tell you. And I know I'm going to get the most bang for my buck because it's 3 hours long. I'm going to see more wrestlers on that show than any other show. Even if they're not wrestling, they're involved in something somehow. Like, I'm going to get the most bang for my buck with Raw. I know a lot of people don't see it that way. I do. So Collision, Raw. Rampage was my third. No, Dynamite was my 3rd show. Rampage was my 4th show. And then SmackDown was my 5th. That's 3 AEW shows were in my top 4 at one point. So I am an AEW fan. And the whole Google thing, I'll go ahead and touch on this one more time too. Please, when I first started watching AEW, I did Google things because I wanted to know if I'm going to watch a show, I need to know more about Orange Cassidy. I need to know more about this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy and then Lance Archer. I was like, I'd seen this guy before. And then I Google him, I find out, I've seen him before. And then I learn a little bit about him. But now that I'm investing that much time into your show, I should not have to do that anymore.
Thank you.
I don't think I should have to do that anymore.
Thank you.
Like, if you know a thing that makes me and my Amanda, my girl, so mad. I don't know if it makes her as mad as it does me. But when I go to a restaurant and there's no menu,
oh my God,
pull out my phone and go to pull up the menu and then go. Why?
Right.
You're telling like I have to go out of my way. I'm already going out of my way to give you my business. Now I have to go out of my way to help give you that business because you guys are trying to cut a few corners. Sorry.
I understand it during COVID because you don't want to spread germs. Fine. But now COVID's over. Give me a menu again.
Or put that menu on the table. Like, there's other ways around it. Again, I don't say video packages for AEW because there's other ways. Okay. Here's an example with the menu. Like, there you go. Yeah, I get that. But still, I don't like it. I don't like it. You can literally put the menu on the table and then put something over it so you can look at it. That's literally an easy fix right there.
Yeah,
put it under the table and put like one of those things. You know how they have some tables with the advertisements under it.
Right.
Put the menu under there. Put that over top of it. There's my menu. There's other options there, so you don't just have to do video packages. There are other options.
Right.
Utilize them.
Exactly.
Have the dude cut a promo the week before if he's going to be on your show next week doing something. Have him attack somebody the week before, so when he's there the next week, he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I know why he's here. Now I'm more interested." Maybe I'll be more inclined to Google because you've given me a reason to do it. Not, he's going to be here. Go find out who he is.
And that's my big thing. Look, WCW. Look, again, you said not everything needs a video package. I don't need a video package for a new star that you're debuting. If you have this new guy who's going to be on your show every week, sure, introduce him slowly but surely. I don't need you to tell me what he did for 2 years in the indies. That's of no consequence to me. But when you're building somebody up that you're telling me that I need to know that's important from some other place that you're not going to feature on your show for an extended period of time, give me some background. And that's what this is the best way to put it. When WCW would bring in certain guys from Japan, they would bring them in for like 3 months. So they would have them come in and they would tell you, okay, this is this guy from Japan, and this is what he did. And Mike Tenay would run down all these things, and they would usually give you a small little video package, But they would build this guy up by giving you a couple of squash matches. That's what we're trying to talk about. We're not saying everything needs to be video packages, but we want these characters who we're supposed to be invested in explained to us so we can be invested too. I want to be invested when these guys from CMLL are coming over because I don't watch CMLL. But I want to be invested when they're facing Bryan Danielson. Tell me why I need to be invested and not just, he's a good wrestler. Thank you. Anybody that's going to face Bryan Danielson is going to be a good wrestler because they're wrestling Bryan Danielson.
Why does he get the honor? Why does he get that honor?
Right. Exactly.
And that's he's not there. And now, like, is he even going to be on AW again for another few? I don't know. So I feel like for the last 2 weeks, you just put him in matches against the top guy. And yeah, that top guy probably really enjoyed wrestling him. And I'm not saying the match was bad, but in football, you watch football because you're emotionally invested in a team or a player and you want to see them succeed. Yes or no?
Yes.
So if, let's just say, the Raiders and the Broncos are playing each other on Sunday Night Football, you have no investment in that because you don't know anybody and it's not your team. Are you going to go out of your way to watch that show or football game?
Probably not.
Okay. If you just enjoy watching football, just like you enjoy watching in-ring wrestling, yeah, you will. But a lot of people like the emotional investment aspect of it. Like,
but you want to know what's funny about that? You know what they do in the middle of football games when there's a break in the action? They run video packages highlighting the football players, and they tell you where they're from, what they've done, who, you you don't know this player? Well, guess what? He played in this college. He held this record. Here's a little flashy video package of some of his highlights from this season.
And when there was like big matchups, like between Peyton and Tom Brady, they would do hype videos for them. Like they did Stone Cold and The Rock. And I remember this because they were good and I was emotionally invested in those things. And that's why I would go out of my way to watch them. And basketball's figured this out. That's why they literally push LeBron James down our throat, because they know that people are emotionally invested. You either want to see him win or you want to see him lose. And that's why he is at the forefront of the NBA, because they're tugging on the heartstrings. They want people invested, and that's how you do it. And that's why everyone's like, when LeBron leaves, the league's in trouble. To an extent, they're not wrong. Yeah. Because they're not going to have that guy that has people emotionally invested, so people are not going to go out of their way to watch certain games anymore. Right. And that's how I do my wrestling. I like to be emotionally invested in one person. Can I watch a match and appreciate it? For sure. Am I going to remember it? Probably not. Yeah. So that's all it is. It's not a hate. It's a preference.
I love AEW and I love watching great wrestling every week. But when every match is a 4-star match,
yes,
then that means that, the standard is now a 4-star match. So that means a 4-star match now becomes a 3-star match. And that's what you're doing. You're oversaturating the market. So now when there's a really, really good wrestling match on Raw, people are like, yo, did you see that DIY versus Finn Balor and Damian Priest match? Did you see that Gunther match? Because it doesn't happen every single week. There's usually good wrestling, but the great matches, it's every once in a while. If you have a great match every night, every segment,
then it desensitizes it.
Right, great is just standard.
It's like the finishers. Like, I hate watching people do the Sammy does the springboard cutter, Cody does the Cody cut. Like, so many people do cutters this day, and then everyone kicks out of them every single time. And I'm like, MJF did a tombstone off the middle rope, and he kicked out. It's like, what? And
I love MJF, but I hate that.
Cool. It's in the moment you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Yeah, it's cool. But then at the end of it, it's like, okay, I remember these moves, but I remember them for the wrong reason, because I'm upset that they did them. Because now when Randy Orton does an RKO, it's like, well, why aren't they kicking out of it?
Right.
What is he doing so different? Right. Sammy Guevara did it off the top of a damn ladder, and then like 10 seconds later, Cody Rhodes was up fighting him. And it's like, no.
And that's my thing.
It's desensitizing. I don't like it.
Right.
And if
you can like what you like, but my thing is that I've gotten a lot more tired of this indie wrestling style, because I see it so much more on AEW. And the thing is that it was really fun when I didn't watch a lot of that indie stuff and I would watch it on NXT. I was like, this is fun every once in a while. And now that I see it in every match, I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. Will somebody just sell a move? Or if you are going to sell, don't fall on the floor and then stand back up and then throw yourself over the ropes.
So if a TLC match was to happen tomorrow, we would forget about it a month from now. The reason we remember the first one is because it was new, it was different, and we hadn't seen anything like it before, and we didn't really see a lot of it after the fact. It was spread out. Now it's literally every other week. And when everything is the same, it makes it really hard for people to stand out, which is why characters are so important. If you were to ask me who I'm invested in AEW, Orange Cassidy, because why? He's a great character. Swerve, because he's just the hottest thing going right now. Danhausen, character. Those are probably my top 3 people in AEW right now, and it's because of their character stuff, not because what they're doing in the ring. They're really good in the ring, but the character stuff, and that's all. I feel. Oh my goodness, I got dragged into it. Again, I'm not hating it. Again, I watch it every single week, and if you follow me, you know I'm not just on there shitting it all the time. Like I literally am praising it. I enjoy it. I just don't like to see it so much, and I think that's why this week's worked so much, is because we got a tag team match, we got a singles match, we got a 6-man match, and we got the women's stuff, which was 2 matches, but technically it was 1 match and 1 promo, because a squash match is a promo in my opinion. It's not a match, but it wasn't. You couldn't do the same thing with the matches because they were all differently lined up. Right. So that's how you should be booking your AEW shows if you're going to continue to do the 4-star classic role that you want to do.
And you know what, though? I'm not mad that, like, credit where it's due. It was still 2 women's matches. I'm not even mad that one of them was a squash match. At least we got 2 women, like, clear-cut segments on the show. We're making steps in the positive direction. This is what people have been saying for a while. We want to see the women featured more. That's what people have been saying. So now they're doing that. So credit where it's due. Toni Storm has done a great thing with this character because they've given us the opportunity to see her off screen and do these things that aren't match segments. So they can do this, be entertaining as a video package. Gee, that's interesting how that works. And then they can have another match with 2 other women in contention for her championship. It's perfect. That's exactly what you need. You needed a character in that division like that to help anchor it so that you can do that. And now with Mercedes more than likely coming in Boston, now you have 2 of those people, because you can have Mercedes in any backstage segment at any point, and people are going to froth at the mouth at least for the next 6 months because she's just Mercedes. That's it. She has, look, amongst the people who care about her, she is like number 1 overall, and there are a lot of them. She does have a big fan base.
She does.
I think she has a after, but let's see what happens 6 months after she's there. Let's see how much they stick around, because we saw Punk had a very big fan base. A lot of them didn't stick around full time either. No, let's see what happens.
Bring back Hater. Please bring back Hater.
Yes, close, right? She's got to be close.
The structure of the AW show is, I think, what's going to help them moving forward for people such as myself who don't like the just nonstop wrestlers trying to just have these barn burners every time. They're trying to just out. Again, I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but again, it makes it hard for other things to stand out when everybody's just doing the same thing and trying to do 5-star matches. Because there is a structure to a 5-star match. That's why the Young Bucks are so good at doing them, because they've studied that structure and they know exactly how to do it. So anybody that, based on Meltzer's opinion, like this is based on because 5-star is Meltzer's grading scale. That's how I'm talking.
Yeah. Okay.
They've grown up studying that and they know how to do it. And that's why they knock them out of the park every time. And I don't like them because of, it's just not my structure. That's my thing. So if you're going to keep people like myself, and I know there's quite a few of them that have the same opinion as me, I see them talking about it all the time. This past week's show is how you mask it. And I guess I'm dumb enough to fall for it. But that's fine. I'm okay with being the dumb person as long as I'm having fun watching your show.
That's it. Keep me entertained. I don't care. Just keep me entertained, and that's fine. Sometimes WWE insults my intelligence too, and I let it go sometimes because you know what? If it's done in an entertaining way, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
We're watching it to be entertained, not to.
Right.
I'm not a wrestling critic. I'm a wrestling fan. Exactly. I'll critique something if it comes up. If you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion for sure. But when I'm watching it, I want to be entertained. That's all I'm asking for. So with that, you got anything else you want to talk about?
I think I've done enough complaining for today.
All right. So I'll just ask one question. We now have our 4 main title matches set for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Not which match are you the most excited for? What match do you think will be the best of the 4 championship matches?
Are we just talking strictly in ring?
With the story, ring, all that stuff. Like in ring, though, not the story leading up, the story that they tell in the ring with the match, because that's part of what they do.
Bailey versus Io Sky.
Okay.
I'm so looking forward to that match. It's not even funny. They told a great story up to this show. They've knocked out of the park in every step that they possibly could. Io Sky can barely speak English, and they've made her character so intriguing because of how well they booked her. I love that the WWE was able to do this to pull me in.
Subtitles are amazing.
It's unreal, man. It's almost like somebody with that great idea thought about that, and they started doing that. It's crazy how that happens, but yeah, like they've figured out ways to make us intrigued in everything that's going on, and they put her in a big group where Bailey was the person that was speaking for her most of the time, and now all they had to do was just laugh behind her back a few times, and boom, we get it.
Simple, and it was effective.
Yeah. And, people wanted to cut the legs off of this story, and now it's probably the best story going into WrestleMania. Can you say Cody and Roman?
Yes, you could.
Sure, you can say that. But you know what? For about
I think it's the easy answer.
Right, but for about 8 months, that match wasn't built at all. This has been built the entire year. Like
technically it has.
Yeah.
There was an end game. I don't know if they built it the whole time, but they've definitely had an end game, and they were leaning towards it.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead and be a hypocrite here.
I love that.
I'm going to pick Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. Because what's going to happen here is Rhea Ripley is going to get turned on by Dom, and he's going to join Becky Lynch. And no, I'm just joking, everybody. I'm just joking, everybody. I do think we get a WrestleMania 13 Bret Austin moment, though, and I think this is where the official turn for Rhea is going to happen. And where Becky is going to lean into if she starts getting booed. I notice her cheers have kind of come down recently. Certain cities pop a little bit more, but overall, they've kind of come down a little bit. And honestly, since she's returned, I think her heel work was better than her face stuff anyway. So I think we're going to get something along the lines. Triple H loves using some shit from the history. And I think this is a perfect match to pull this off at. And Becky's capable of doing it. 1,000%. And people are already wanting to cheer for Rhea. So just flip the switch in this match. It makes Becky more interesting again. And then she doesn't even need the title if she's a heel. She could just be the person who's out to stop other people from getting to that level. And Liv Morgan could be her first person. I don't know. But I think Becky and Rhea are going to not even surprise me. I know they're both capable of it, but I think that's going to be the best of the 4. That's going to be the one I talk about the most after I personally think.
I love that we both chose a women's match. So
I was going to say, I'm glad that we both are doing that because once again, they deserve their flowers.
Absolutely.
Women's wrestling is awesome.
Yeah. And you know what? It's about to get even better. It really is. Like, it's really about to get even better. And I love that.
I literally was just talking about Rampage, and the best match on Rampage was what? Mariah May and Anna Jay. Woo! It's awesome. I'm glad that these women are starting to get their thing. AEW is even starting to pick it up.
They are.
I'll give them their credit.
Look,
I know the signing they just made was in favor of that. We'll see how it works out for them. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because we're bringing Mercedes in, and you're getting Hater back soon. Britt's coming back soon. Like, come on. Now's the time. Pull that trigger. Let that women's division run rampant.
Just, they have Mercedes coming in, and I think that once they signed her, I think they ramped everything up to the next level. They brought in Deonna Purrazzo. They've used her excellently this entire time. She looks credible. And, we said, hey, maybe you should have her, your top contenders come out and beat people on TV every week. Well, they've been doing that with Deonna. So,
I'll tell you what. I feel like they already have a mid-card title in the women's division. I would like to see the TBS title utilized a little bit better, but they have the mid-card title for the women's division. So, and they have enough talent in the middle there, like Julia Hart, Sky Blue, bring up Billy Starks. Athena could start off there if they ever bring her over from Ring of Honor, get her in that mid-card, and then she's a main eventer, like just waiting to happen for that division. They have a lot of Anna Jay. I just brought her up. Mariah May. There's so much talent in that women's division now. It's time. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Abaddon, like there's a character you should be pushing more often because again, she worked when she was on the show. Like, it was working, and then she just disappeared afterwards. Like, come on. But Serena Deeb's back. My goodness,
absolutely.
man.
Yeah, and I know we're still missing some too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely missing some. Who?
Sheeta, Rio. I mean, we're missing.
You ain't gonna catch me saying Riho.
Not like there's. I mean, we're missing. I'm just saying, like, we're missing.
Yes, there's a lot more that we could be bringing up.
They can still be featuring.
Taya Valkyrie, boom, right there.
There you go.
Ruby Soho, boom, right there.
Yeah, the Outcast.
Yeah, there's names. So,
right.
Yeah, do it. It could be so good. So yeah, we both pick women's matches. That's awesome. So now it's time to show part of the show where we say our goodbyes. That was our guest of the week. We didn't have a guest. I just asked the question anyway. So there you have it. We slipped it in where I put the thing up. Guest of the week. So now it's time for part of the show where we say our goodbyes. Before we say our goodbyes, we let you know what it is and where you can find us. So Albert, tell them what it is.
I wish you could put like a DX over the word guest. So yeah, because it was you. So look, as I say every week, Slam Sessions. I have a new video that was up last week, and I'm actually in the process. I was in the process of editing right before we came onto this, right onto here. So if it's not up tonight, which it might not be because I might have fallen asleep before it's done exporting. But if it's not up tonight, it'll be up tomorrow at some point.
Yeah. So there you go. Go watch Slam Sessions. Our Matt Cardona has more action figure goodies for you. Speaking of action figure goodies, check out this bad boy. Oh, I got the Brody King.
Ooh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
That mask is immaculate. I love it. I love it so much.
The second that I saw that 2-pack with Darby, I was like, this is right up Jimmy's alley.
Oh God, I gotta get that too. So where's it? Oh, my turn. So this week, I will be making a return to a podcast by the name of Raw Ball. That's right. I'm going to be going to hang out with old wrestle buddies, Matty Laws and the Capitan. They made some room for me, so I'm going to go talk Elimination Chamber with them. We're going to have ourselves a good old time. That's on Tuesday. I believe 5:30 Central Time is when their show is there. So if you want to catch me over there, check it out. I'm sure that will be very fun. And then we'll be back here next week to have this show. Hopefully Tidy will be back with us again. And also, I'm going to try and do the AW prediction show right here on this channel sometime this week. If I figure it out, I'll put it on the Twitter machine, X machine, social media machine, whatever you want to call it. And we'll get there because I do have to defend my title, I guess. Albert is like 2 or 3 times since I've won mine. So it's only fair. But if it doesn't happen, then just call me Roman Reigns and I'm fine. And I'll do it. I am the tribal chief here. I am the king. So with that, catch me on Tuesday. Catch me later at the week right here. Albert probably will be joining me for that thing if it works out. And I'll try and get 2 other people on there. So it's a 4-way. I'll stack the deck against myself. I'm confident in AEW. Not so confident in WWE. I'm confident in AEW predictions.
I want that false sense of security so I can take 2 of your titles.
So and then later on this month, is it later on this month or is it next month? Next month, this man over here will be vying for a chance to take on me in Wrestling with Your Thoughts. So keep your eyes on that one. That's Nick's channel. He's on with us all the time over at the Wrestling Legion, Wrestling with Your Thoughts. It'll be this guy right here, Albert, fighting against one of our old guests, Beast Mode, for an opportunity to take on the king at booking. I may suck at some predictions, but when it comes to the booking, boom, I knock some people out. So a lot of stuff coming up. We appreciate the support. We appreciate you watching. And I will see y'all hopefully on Tuesday and then another day and then next Sunday as well. So deuces, peace out, toodles, and thank you for watching. Click, it always gets me every single time.